There's an old famous adage that offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And when talking about why the Kansas City Chiefs were able to make another successful run this year, this defense is the area that was overlooked the most. While they aren't one of the most impressive statistically, the Kansas City Chiefs defense has a number of players that can be difference makers. And in this video, we'll be going over how the defense was actually better than it appeared. Every year, this defense seems to get better as the season progresses. They can go through stretches where they look awful, but the Kansas City Chiefs always find a way to tighten up in big spots and in the money months. And this Kansas City Chiefs defense is one of the main reasons this team stays in games sometimes. And although they gave up the most passing touchdowns this season with 33, and they allowed 220 yards per game through the air, the Chiefs had their success in other areas, which was getting to the quarterback and disrupting plays early. This team finished with 55 sacks this season, which was second in the NFL. They finished third in QB hurries this season with 59. They sent the blitz at a quarterback 173 times this season, which was a key component of why they had 89 tackles for loss. Chris Jones finished this season with 15.5 sacks. In the Chiefs' 3 losses, Chris Jones only had 1 sack and 8 total pressures. Meanwhile, in Kansas City's wins, Chris Jones had 14.5 sacks and 69 total pressures. George Karlaftis came on strong to finish the season and added another 6 sacks, and Carlos Dunlap brought in 4 more. And yeah, those numbers sound good, but how Chris Jones was dominating offenses up front was unheard of. And if you don't believe me, let's cut on the tape. Like here on this play, the quick burst off the line of scrimmage from Frank Clark forces Jimmy G to step up in the pocket and eventually right into the arms of Chris Jones, who was pushing his blocker into the backfield. And on this play, Chris Jones doesn't get the sack, but this play is made by him breaking through a double team and Frank Clark noticing that there's a 3-person jam up here, let me duck back inside, and he and Colin Sanders combine for the sack as Jimmy G tries to evade pressure. And this play here is just a great stunt by the Kansas City Chiefs as they have Frank Clark and Michael Dana twist to create confusion amongst the linemen, which is exactly what happened. Michael Dana is able to split through 2 defenders who are still reacting to the twist and get the sack on Justin Herbert. But when it's money time, there's only one guy who closes out games for the Chiefs, and that's Chris Jones. Take these 2 plays late in the 4th quarter against the Chargers, for example. It's 30-27. The Chiefs lead with 31 seconds left in the 4th quarter, and Chris Jones actually makes a huge play here because, as you can see, the Chiefs are a man defense, which means the quarterback can take off and run because all the defenders have their back turned and are worried about their man. Justin Herbert tries to slide through that hole, but Chris Jones quickly swallows him up for no gain. If he hadn't, who knows? Justin Herbert could still be running as we speak. And then on the very next play, although he doesn't get the sack, he beats his guy off the ball quickly and forces Justin Herbert to exit the pocket, which leads him right into the hands of Frank Clark, who was on the outside. Not wanting to take a sack, Justin Herbert drifts back and throws up a prayer, only for it not to be answered. Interception, that's it, Chiefs win. Another thing the Chiefs did really well this season was pursue the ball. The Chiefs were able to swarm the ball with urgency and aggression, and that's a key reason why this defense finished top 10 in 3rd down percentage. Just like here on this 3rd down play, the Chiefs were able to have 3 defenders in the face of Trevor Lawrence before he even had time to survey his options downfield. Outside of Chris Jones, the Chiefs don't have many household names up front, but they're all still very capable of making big plays when needed. Just like Colin Sanders does here on 2nd and 11, the Jags elect to double team the edge rushers and focus on Chris Jones and leave Colin Sanders one-on-one. But with the assist from Chris Jones by putting his hand up in the passing lane and blocking Trevor Lawrence's angle to his running back, it makes Trevor hold on to the ball for a second longer, and that was just enough time for Colin Sanders to beat his man and get home with the sack. This is one of my favorite plays because it defines the Chiefs' swarming defense so well. To most people, they cut this play off after the fumble. And yes, it was a great play to even initially cause the fumble, but the best part comes on the recovery. Look at how many Chiefs players are around this ball. There's literally only one possible team who could have come up with that football, and that's what I mean by this team did a great job of playing until the final whistle. And yeah, this Chiefs team still managed to give up 21.7 points per game, and although they finished 19th against the pass this season, it was a totally different story against the run, where they finished at number 8 this season, while only giving up 10 rushing touchdowns all year, which would have tied for 3rd in the NFL this season, and only giving up 107 yards per game. A huge reason the Chiefs were able to stop the run is because of their linebacker play in the middle, and more specifically Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton was drafted back in 2020, and ever since he's been implemented in this defense, his play and the team's play has elevated. In Nick Bolton's rookie year, he finished with 112 tackles and won the team's Rookie of the Year award. But in year 2, he truly turned into the quarterback of that defense. He finished this season with 180 total tackles, which was second in the NFL, but it broke the Kansas City Chiefs record for most tackles in a season. And don't forget, he played the game of his life in the Super Bowl, where he finished with a team-high 9 tackles and he returned a fumble for a touchdown. Nick Bolton affected the game in so many different ways, and his versatility within the defense is exactly what this team needed. This play is half Nick Bolton being disciplined, and the other half is a great defensive play call, because since his man, Nick Bolton doesn't even have to worry about the potential end around, because Juan Thornhill fulfills that role. He just needs to stay locked in on the quarterback, and once Nick Bolton realizes he kept the ball, he accelerates to get the tackle right before he reaches the first down marker. And then on his 4th and 1 play, the Chiefs sent him on a delayed blitz, and the Raiders chose to run long developing routes downfield. And just by him being in the face of Derek Carr, it forced him to throw this ball before he was ready. As he forces the incompletion, Chiefs win. Now, as I mentioned, Nick Bolton was the main guy, but Willie Gay was no slouch, finishing 4th on the team in tackles with 51, and he could be used in similar ways also. The Chiefs chose to leave him as the spy on this play, which they often did when they faced dual threat quarterbacks. And this is just a simple read and react play. As the quarterback starts to scramble, he times it up perfectly and is able to come up with a tackle for a short gain. So rather it was covering, blitzing, or even being the spies, the Chiefs linebackers were up to the task in every facet this season and can continue to be a strong piece for this defense moving forward. Although Nick Bolton usually stops anything coming his way, he's not the only reason the Chiefs' run defense is what it is. Chris Jones put an end to this play before it even really got started. As soon as the ball was hiked, Chris Jones was already 2 yards into the backfield and eventually forced Trevor Lawrence back inside to the cavalry. So it's clear that although they might not have been a top 10 or even top 15 defense, they still did some great things on that side of the ball. An area that could be the most worrisome is the secondary. And honestly, it's based off how you look at it. The average age in the Chiefs secondary is 24, with Justin Reid and L'Jarius Sneed being the oldest at 26. So the downfall could be that they're a young secondary, and you could often run the risk of getting burned or just making mental mistakes during the time you can't really afford them. Or you could look at it as, yes, this defense is inexperienced, but they have great upside. They fly around the ball, they have great motors, and in fact, in some of the biggest moments, that's when they lock in the most. L'Jarius Sneed finished 2nd on the team in tackles with 75, while Justin Reid finished 3rd on the team this season in tackles with 59. So that's showing you they weren't afraid to get their noses dirty and come up and make tackles. One thing the Chiefs love to do is blitz, and blitz from multiple positions on the field. As they do here on this safety blitz from L'Jarius Sneed, they send 3 defenders right away and have L'Jarius Sneed and Nick Bolton come on a delayed blitz. The offensive linemen all focus on the man directly in front of them, and nobody gets hands on Sneed as he's able to blitz from the outside and force a fumble here on the hit on Tom Brady. And again, just as I said on the last play, one thing the Chiefs love to do is blitz. As you can see, 7 guys are in the box, and here on this play, the blitz works to perfection as it gets Jimmy G to release this ball quicker than he anticipated and quicker than the wide receiver anticipated for the Joshua Williams interception. And it wasn't just this secondary coming up and making tackles, even though that's their strong suit. This secondary was still very respectable against the pass, rather it was interceptions, pass breakups, or just solid tackling once the catch was made. Like here as Justin Reid was matched up with the receiver over the middle, McKenzie has a step on Justin Reid, but Justin Reid was there to make a jarring hit and cause the completion as soon as the receiver touched the ball. Or Trent McDuffie on this play and press man-to-man coverage with little safety help over the top. He's able to stay in phase, as they call it, and run stride for stride with the receiver as he breaks this pass up. Plus he gets his head turned around to locate the ball and reduce the risk of a pass interference call. Beautiful. Now it may not seem like much, but the activity and versatility from this secondary made them very hard to gauge, and it worked to the benefit of the Chiefs, letting this secondary fly around and move each one of them into different positions. Here in a short yard situation on 3rd and 3, the Chiefs elect to go into man-to-man coverage, and Joshua Williams makes a great play, continuing to play through the ball and cause the completion on this quick slant. And back to L'Jarius Sneed, coming down to load the box as he ducks by a blocker and makes this tackle 4 yards deep into the backfield. And although this ball gets completed, it's 4th and 8, and the Chiefs are in man-to-man defense. And Trent McDuffie does allow the catch, but he's on his defender like white on rice by the time he's even able to try and make a move. Again, statistically, this defense wasn't the best, but when this defense was called upon, they answered. And yeah, this defense will never take over from what that offense does week in and week out, but with an already high-powered offense, this defense can continue to get better and better. They're young, they're experienced, and they have a really good player at every crucial position on the field. But one thing to remember, offense wins games, defense wins championships. And if you enjoyed this video, stay right there and be sure to check out my video over the Kansas City Chiefs' potent offense. Peace.